Palestine-Israel conflict is one of the most important of our time, and today I'll tell you what it's all about. But in order to talk about the current events, we'll first have to get an understanding for the history that has led up to it. In 1922, Britain created a national home for Jewish people in Palestine. Jews considered Palestine to be their ancestral land. Throughout World War II, many Jews came to Palestine fleeing persecution. Then in 1948, the State of Israel was created by Jewish leaders as Britain withdrew. Directly after Israel was declared a state, 5 Arab countries, Egypt, Jordan, Israel, Iraq, and Lebanon, attacked. Jews and Arab conflicts had already been increasing for months. During the conflict, an event called the catastrophe happened. Palestinians were forced or fled from their homes. Israel controlled the majority of the land the following year, when a ceasefire ended the fight. The West Bank was controlled by Jordan, and Gaza by Egypt. Israeli forces held the west of Jerusalem, while the east was held by Jordanian forces. Many more wars and fights followed in the years to come, as there was never a peace agreement. In one of those following wars, in 1967, East Jerusalem, the West Bank, most of Gaza, and more were occupied by Israel. Many Palestinians took refuge in these places, and to this day, Israel will not let them return to their homes. And after several failed peace attempts and uprisings, called Intifada, we arrive at the present day. Well, now that we know the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict, we can dive right into what is currently happening. On October 7, 2023, the Palestinian group Hamas took over 100 Jewish hostages in response to the mistreatment of Palestinians by Israel. Because of Israel's response to the hostage situation, since October 2023, 85% of Gaza's population, about 2 million, have been displaced. And despite an international campaign, Israel's military, the IDF, has renewed its attacks on Rafah. The death toll of this conflict has now reached over 34,000. Even with the rising casualties, Israel and Hamas are still unable to reach a ceasefire, and as if this wasn't enough already, in mid-March, Israel launched a 2-week raid on the biggest medical center in Gaza, the Al-Shifa Hospital. Israel says it did this because Hamas was using it as a command center. Hamas had used Al-Shifa as a command center, and even held hostages there, but they had left days prior to the raid. As if Gaza didn't have it hard enough, Gaza is running out of food, water, and supplies. Israel is limiting the aid that Gaza can get and attacking humanitarian agency employees. Despite the situation in Gaza, the recent ceasefire proposals that the US and Egypt have mediated, Hamas has rejected. And yet, with everything that has happened, Joe Biden strongly supports Israel, and the UN has not come up with a consensus on the situation. One advocacy group that is trying to help with the current situation in Gaza is the US Campaign for Palestinian Rights. They were founded after the Second Intifada in 2001. Right now, they are taking grassroots power and channeling it into positive policy change in order to help support the US-based Palestinian Solidarity Movement. In order to help support Gaza and the Palestinians in their struggle, ourselves, we the people, must show our support for them. We can send letters to representatives to tell them how we feel about the Israel-Palestine conflict and how we wish them to react to it. We can also donate to advocacy groups whose aim is to support Gaza and Palestine, like the US Campaign for Palestinian Rights. And at the very least, we can spread the word about what is happening in Palestine and Gaza under Israeli rule in order to spread more light onto one of the biggest issues of our time. For more information on the topics in this video, visit one of the links in the description.